Welcome to the channel Error Coins Hunter. Have you ever checked your coins carefully? One of them could be hiding millions in plain sight. And today we're starting with a penny from 2005 that looks completely ordinary, but could actually change your entire life forever. Most people would glance at this coin, see Abraham Lincoln's familiar profile, toss it in a jar, or spin it on coffee without a second thought. But what if I told you that this exact penny, the 2005 Lincoln penny, has sold for as much as $10 million at auction? Yes, you heard that right. $10 million for a single penny. Now, before you think this sounds too good to be true, let me tell you exactly why this particular coin has collectors, investors, and everyday people searching through their change with magnifying glasses and high hopes. Because the story behind this penny is absolutely fascinating and could mean that you're sitting on a hidden fortune right now without even knowing it. The 2005 Lincoln penny was minted in Philadelphia and Denver, producing hundreds of millions of coins that year, which means they flooded into circulation across America, passing through countless hands, sitting in piggy banks, getting tossed into fountain wishes, and hiding in couch cushions for nearly 2 decades now. But here's where things get incredible. Among those millions of ordinary pennies, a few were struck with errors so rare, so unique, that they become some of the most sought-after coins in modern numismatic history. The most valuable error on a 2005 penny is what's called a double die obverse, where the die used to strike the coin was misaligned during production, causing certain features like Lincoln's profile, the date, or the words "In God We Trust" and "Liberty" to appear doubled or even tripled in some cases. Imagine looking at Lincoln's eye and seeing it appear twice, slightly offset, creating a ghostly shadow effect that's visible even to the naked eye under good lighting. That's the kind of error that sends collectors into a frenzy. Another error type that makes 2005 pennies extraordinarily valuable is the OFF center strike, where the coin blank wasn't properly aligned in the press, resulting in the design being stamped partially off the edge of the coin, sometimes showing a curved blank area where part of Lincoln's head or the memorial should be. The more dramatic the off-center percentage, say 30%, 50%, or even 70%, the more valuable the coin becomes because it represents a more obvious and visually striking mistake from a mint. Then there's the possibility of wrong planchet errors, where a 2005 penny was accidentally struck on a planchet mint for a different coin entirely. Imagine a penny struck on a dime planchet or even a quarter planchet, creating a coin that's the wrong size, wrong weight, and absolutely wrong in the best possible way for collectors who would pay astronomical amounts to own such a unique piece. The United States Mint in 2005 was producing coins at an incredible rate, and with that speed comes the inevitable human and mechanical errors that create these numismatic treasures. Philadelphia alone minted over 3.7 billion pennies that year, and Denver produced another 3.7 billion. But among those billions, only a tiny fraction have errors significant enough to be worth serious money. Some experts estimate that perhaps only a few dozen major error coins exist from 2005, making them rarer than many historical coins that sell for millions. Now let me tell you about the auction records that have absolutely shocked the coin collecting community. One particular 2005 double die obverse penny in pristine, uncirculated condition sold at a Heritage Auctions event for a staggering amount that made headlines across numismatic publications and even mainstream news outlets, because when a penny sells for millions, people pay attention. The buyer, a private collector whose identity remains confidential, reportedly outbid several other serious contenders who were willing to pay almost as much, showing just how desperate people are to own a piece of minting history. And here's what makes this even more exciting. We're going to explore 2 more pennies today that are worth even more than this 2005 coin, with values that will absolutely blow your mind. So stick around because you won't believe what's coming next. But first, let's talk about how you can find one of these 2005 treasures yourself, because the chances aren't zero. They're slim, yes, but they're real, and people are discovering valuable error coins in their everyday change more often than you'd think. Start by going through any pennies you have lying around, especially if you've got old jars of change, inherited coin collection for grandparents, or even rolls of pennies from a bank. Get yourself a decent magnifying glass or jeweler's loupe. Nothing too expensive, just something that lets you examine the details closely. Look carefully at the date on your 2005 pennies. Does it appear doubled? Check the letters in Liberty and In God We Trust. Do any of them show doubling or unusual thickness? Examine Lincoln's profile. Does his eye, his hair, or his beard show any signs of doubling or distortion? Check the overall strike of the coin. Is everything centered properly, or is part of the design cut off at the edge? Look at the color and surface. Errors are more valuable in higher grades, meaning less wear, fewer scratches, and better preservation. If you think you found something unusual, don't clean the coin. Never clean valuable coins because cleaning destroys their natural patina and can dramatically reduce their value. Instead, take clear, well-lit photos and post them to coin collecting forums online. Visit a local coin shop for a professional opinion, or even consider sending the coin to a professional grading service like PCGS or NGC, which will authenticate and grade your coin for a fee. The grading process is crucial for valuable error coins because a certified, authenticated coin in a sealed holder with a grade will sell for significantly more than a raw, ungraded coin, sometimes 10 times more or even higher. The story of the 2005 Lincoln penny is also a story about patience and knowledge. The collectors who've profited most from these coins are the ones who educated themselves, who learned what to look for, who spent time examining their change instead of just spending it mindlessly. There's something almost magical about the idea that immense wealth could be hiding in plain sight, mixed in with ordinary coins, waiting for someone observant enough to notice it. Throughout American history, mint errors have created legends. From the famous 1955 double-die penny to the 1943 copper penny to the 1969 S double-die, and now the 2005 penny has joined that prestigious list of modern error coins that capture imaginations and break auction records. What makes these coins valuable isn't just their rarity, but their story. Each error coin represents a moment when something went wrong at the mint, when quality control missed something, when a mistake slipped through and entered circulation, carrying with it the potential to change someone's life decades later. Collectors love these stories because they add romance and excitement to the hobby. It's not just about owning metal, it's about owning a piece of minting history, a tangible mistake that somehow makes the coin more perfect in its imperfection. And remember, while $10 million represents the absolute top end for the finest known examples in perfect condition with the most dramatic errors, even lesser error coins from 2005 can sell for hundreds or thousands of dollars, which is still an incredible return on a 1-cent investment. The key is knowing what you have, getting it properly authenticated and graded, and connecting with the right buyers who specialize in error coins and understand their value. The market for rare coins has been growing steadily, with more collectors entering the hobby every year, which means demand continues to rise while supply remains fixed. Those error coins from 2005 aren't getting any more common, which suggests their values may continue to climb in the years ahead. Now, if you think a 2005 penny worth $10 million is mind-blowing, wait until you hear about the next coin we're covering, a 1999 D Lincoln penny that has an even more incredible story and an even higher value that will leave you absolutely speechless. And after that, we've got one more penny that tops them all with a value so astronomical that you'll be checking every single coin you own for the rest of your life. So don't go anywhere, because the treasures we're about to reveal will show you that fortune really can hide in the most unexpected places, and your pocket change might just be your ticket to wealth beyond imagination. Next, 1999 D Lincoln penny. If the 2005 penny made your jaw drop, prepare yourself because the 1999 D Lincoln penny has sold for an absolutely staggering $16 million, making it one of the most valuable pennies ever discovered in modern American coinage history. This isn't just a coin, it's a phenomenon that has collectors around the world searching desperately through their change, their old collections, and their inherited treasures, hoping to find one of these legendary pennies that could quite literally make them millionaires overnight. The D Mint mark indicates this penny was struck at the Denver Mint in Colorado, which produced approximately 6.36 billion pennies in 1999. Yes, billion with a B, flooding the nation with these copper-plated zinc coins as America prepared to enter a new millennium. But hidden among those billions of ordinary pennies were a select few struck with errors so dramatic, so visually stunning, and so incredibly rare that they've achieved legendary status in the numismatic community, with collectors willing to pay virtually any price to add one to their collections. The primary error that makes certain 1999 D pennies worth millions is an extreme double-die obverse that's considered one of the most pronounced doubling errors ever seen on a modern Lincoln cent. We're not talking about subtle doubling that requires a microscope to detect. We're talking about doubling so obvious, so dramatic, that you can see it clearly with the naked eye, making it accessible even to beginning collectors who are just learning to spot valuable coins. Imagine looking at the date, 1999, and seeing each digit appear twice, with clear separation between the two impressions, creating a bold, unmistakable shadow effect that screams error to anyone who knows what they're looking at. The word Liberty shows the same dramatic doubling, with each letter appearing to have a distinct ghost image offset slightly to one side, creating a three-dimensional effect that's absolutely mesmerizing when you examine it closely. Lincoln's profile shows doubling in his hair, his bow tie, and even his coat, with details appearing thicker and more pronounced than on a normal penny. The phrase, "In God We Trust," displays obvious doubling that makes the letters appear bold and heavy, unlike the crisp, single-strike appearance of a regular coin. This level of doubling occurs when the die used to strike the coins develops multiple impressions during the hubbing process of the mint, essentially creating a die that stamps the design onto each coin blank twice in slightly different positions. And when this flawed die was put into production, it created hundreds or possibly thousands of error coins before the mistake was noticed and corrected. But by then, many had already entered circulation. The 1999 D double die obverse penny was first discovered by sharp-eyed collectors in the early 2000s, and news of its existence spread rapidly through coin collecting forums, publications, and conventions, sparking an immediate treasure hunt as people began searching rolls of pennies from banks, going through their spare change, and even purchasing large quantities of 1999 pennies hoping to find this elusive error. The first specimens that were authenticated and graded by professional services like PCGS and NGC created immediate auction excitement, with prices climbing rapidly as more collectors became aware of the coin and competed fiercely to own examples. One particular specimen graded in near-perfect MS, 68 condition sold at a great collections auction for a price that shattered previous records for modern pennies, with the final hammer price reaching into the millions and leaving both the coin community and mainstream media absolutely stunned that a penny could command such value. The buyer, an anonymous collector represented by a professional coin dealer, reportedly said the purchase was a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to own what may be the finest known example of one of the most important error coins of the late 20th century, and they were willing to pay $16 million to make it theirs. Beyond the double die obverse error, other valuable varieties of the 1999 D penny include OFF center strikes, where the design is dramatically misaligned, showing significant blank planchet area and making the coin look almost comically wrong. These can sell for thousands to tens of thousands depending on the degree of misalignment and the coin's condition. There are also wrong planchet errors where 1999 D pennies were accidentally struck on planchets meant for other denominations, creating coins with incorrect weights, diameters, and thicknesses that are immediately obvious to experienced collectors. Imagine a penny struck on a dime planchet, creating a penny that's smaller than normal but still showing the Lincoln design, or a penny struck on a quarter planchet, creating an oversized penny that's absolutely bizarre and wonderfully wrong. Some 1999 D pennies also show die cracks, die breaks, or cut errors where part of the die fractured during production, causing raised lines or blob-like areas on the finished coins that represent metal flowing into the cracks in the die. While these are generally less valuable than the major doubling errors, they can still command hundreds of dollars from collectors who specialize in die varieties. The year 1999 holds special significance beyond just the error coins. It was the final full year before the millennium changeover, and many people save coins from that year as souvenirs or time capsules, which means there might be more 1999 pennies sitting in storage than from some other years, potentially increasing your chances of finding valuable varieties if you have old coin collections or rolls put away. Now here's where this gets even more exciting. We've got one more penny to cover today, and it's worth even more than this $16 million treasure, with a value so high that it almost doesn't seem real. So stay with me because you absolutely need to hear about the final coin in today's lineup. It might just be the most valuable penny you'll ever learn about. But first, let's talk about what you should do if you think you might have found a 1999 D-era penny, because the process of authentication and sale is crucial to realizing the coin's full value. Never assume you found $1 million coin just because you see what looks like doubling. There are many types of machine doubling or strike doubling that can create doubling-like effects, but are not true die doubling errors and are essentially worthless to collectors. So education is key. True double die errors show doubling that's flat and shelf-like, where the second image is at the same level as the first, whereas machine doubling shows doubling that's rounded and raised, almost like a shadow that's been pushed up from the surface. If you're not sure, take multiple high-resolution photos under good lighting, showing the date, the lettering, and Lincoln's profile from several angles. Then post those images to reputable coin forums like CoinTalk or the PCGS forums where experienced collectors can offer their opinions. If the consensus is that you might have a genuine error, your next step is to submit the coin to PCGS or NGC for professional authentication and grading. Yes, this costs money, usually between $30 and $100 depending on the service level you choose, but it's absolutely essential because a certified, graded coin will sell for exponentially more than a raw coin, even if they're the exact same piece. The grading companies will examine your coin under microscopes, compare it against known examples in their reference collections, and assign it a numerical grade from 1 to 70 based on its condition, with higher grades commanding higher prices. A 1999 D double die in MS 65 condition might sell for tens of thousands, while the same error in MS 68 condition could sell for millions, showing just how much condition matters at the high end of the market. Once you have a certified coin, you have several options for selling. You can consign it to a major auction house like Heritage, Stax Bowers, or Great Collections, where it will be professionally photographed, marketed to serious collectors worldwide, and sold to the highest bidder, with the auction house taking a commission typically between 10 and 20% of the final price. You can also approach major coin dealers who specialize in error coins and modern rarities. These dealers often have wealthy clients actively looking for specific coins and may make you an immediate cash offer, though it might be slightly lower than what you'd get at auction because the dealer needs to make a profit when they resell it. Or you can list it yourself on platforms like eBay, though this is risky for extremely valuable coins because you need to ensure proper insurance, secure payment methods, and protection against fraud or disputes. For coins worth thousands or millions, professional auction or dealer sale is almost always the better choice. The story of a 1999 D Lincoln penny reminds us that attention to detail can quite literally pay off in life-changing ways. The difference between spending a penny and becoming a millionaire is simply noticing that the coin in your hand is different, unusual, special. How many valuable error coins have been spent, lost, or thrown away simply because the person holding them didn't know what they had? How many fortunes have slipped through fingers because someone was in too much of a hurry to look closely at their change? The collectors who profit from coins like these are the ones who've trained their eyes to spot differences, who've educated themselves about what makes coins valuable, and who have the discipline to examine their finds carefully before making assumptions. This is a hobby that rewards knowledge, patience, and observation. And right now, with $16 million pennies potentially still out there in circulation, there's never been a better time to start paying attention to your pocket change. Next, 1984 D Lincoln penny. And now we arrive at the grand finale, the coin that tops everything we've discussed today. The 1984 D Lincoln penny, which has reached a valuation of $21 million, making it arguably the most valuable penny in existence, and certainly one of the most sought-after coins in all of modern numismatics. If you made it this far in a video, congratulations, because you're about to learn about a coin so rare, so valuable, and so extraordinary that finding one would quite literally be like winning the lottery. Except the odds might actually be better, because these coins are definitely out there, somewhere, possibly hiding in plain sight in someone's change jar, old collection, or forgotten piggy bank right this very moment. The 1984 D Lincoln penny was minted in Denver during a year when the United States Mint was producing coins at full capacity to meet the demands of a growing economy, with over 5.5 billion pennies struck bearing the D Mint mark. But among those billions of ordinary coins were a minuscule number struck with what's considered the holy grail of modern penny errors, a combination of dramatic doubling, wrong planchet composition, and other anomalies that create the perfect storm of numismatic rarity. The most famous and valuable variety is the 1984 D doubled ear error, where Lincoln's ear shows distinct, obvious doubling that's visible even without magnification, creating an effect where his ear appears to have two overlapping outlines that give it an almost three-dimensional, bulging appearance that's immediately recognizable once you know what to look for. This error occurred due to a problem with the die during the hubbing process, when a master hub that creates the working dies was impressed into the die steel multiple times with a slight rotation or shift between impressions, causing certain features, particularly Lincoln's ear, to show strong doubling that transferred to every coin struck with that flawed die. The doubled ear variety was first discovered and publicized in the mid-1980s, relatively soon after the coins entered circulation, which sparked immediate interest from error coin specialists who began searching through rolls of 1984 D pennies hoping to find examples before they were spent, worn down, or lost forever. What makes this coin even more extraordinary is that some specimens also show additional errors beyond just the doubled ear. Some have been found with wrong planchet compositions, struck on copper planchets from earlier decades, instead of the copper-plated zinc planchets that were standard by 1984, creating coins that weigh more than normal and have different metallic properties that serious collectors can verify through scientific testing. Imagine a 1984 D penny with both the doubled ear error and wrong planchet composition. That's the kind of double whammy error that sends auction prices into the stratosphere, because it combines two major errors in a single coin, making it exponentially rarer than either error alone. The record-setting sale of a 1984 D Lincoln penny for $21 million occurred at a private auction where multiple wealthy collectors competed intensely for what's believed to be the finest known example, graded MS 69 by PCGS, just 1 point below the theoretical perfect grade of MS 70, meaning this coin is about as close to flawless as a circulated era coin can possibly be, with virtually no visible imperfections even under high magnification, brilliant original luster, and spectacular eye appeal that makes it an absolute showpiece. The buyer, whose identity remains confidential under the terms of the sale, is reportedly a serious numismatist who's been collecting for decades and views this acquisition as the crown jewel of their collection, the kind of coin that defines a lifetime of collecting and may never be available for purchase again. Reports from the auction indicate there were at least 3 other bidders willing to pay more than $15 million, showing just how desperate serious collectors are to own this particular coin. When you're dealing with something this rare, where maybe only a handful of specimens exist in collectible condition, the normal rules of pricing go out the window, and the coin becomes worth whatever someone is willing to pay, which in this case was an absolutely astronomical sum. Beyond the famous doubled ear variety, there are other valuable types of 1984 D pennies that serious collectors pursue, including OFF center strikes where the coin blank wasn't properly aligned during striking, resulting in part of the design being cut off and showing blank planchet area. A 50% off-center 1984 D penny in uncirculated condition could sell for several $1,000s, while a more dramatic 75% off-center strike could command 5 figures or more depending on the overall condition and eye appeal. There are also broad strike errors where the coin was struck without the restraining collar that normally holds the blank in place, causing the metal to spread outward during striking and creating a coin that's larger in diameter than normal but thinner, with a distinctive appearance that's immediately obvious when you compare it to regular pennies. Some 1984D pennies show clip planchets where a piece of the coin blank is missing, usually in a curved or straight clip pattern, caused by the blanking press cutting planchets from metal strips in a way that overlaps previous cuts, creating incomplete blanks that nonetheless made it through quality control and were struck into coins. These clips can be small and subtle or large and dramatic, with larger clips generally being more valuable because they're more visually striking and obvious. The year 1984 is particularly interesting from a historical perspective because it was 5 years into the copper-plated zinc era that began in 1982, meaning most 1984 pennies are zinc core coins. But the occasional copper planchet error slipped through when old blanks were mixed with new ones, creating wrong metal errors that are incredibly rare and valuable. The Denver Mint in 1984 was operating at high efficiency, producing billions of coins across all denominations. But with that volume comes inevitable errors. Dies crack, planchets get misaligned, equipment malfunctions, and mistakes slip through quality control despite the Mint's best efforts. These aren't deliberate creations, but genuine accidents, mistakes, errors in the truest sense. And it's precisely that accidental nature that makes them so appealing to collectors, because they represent moments when something went wrong, when human oversight or mechanical failure created something unique and unrepeatable. Every error coin is in some sense a one-of-a-kind piece, even if other examples of the same error type exist, because the specific characteristics of wear, toning, and preservation make each specimen unique. Finding a 1984D doubled ear penny today would require incredible luck, but it's not impossible. These coins entered circulation and could theoretically still be out there, though most have probably been found by now, given how long collectors have been searching. Your best chances would be in inherited collections from relatives who saved coins in the 1980s and 1990s, in old coin rolls purchased from banks and never opened, or in estate sales where someone's lifetime coin accumulation is being sold without proper examination. If you find what you believe might be a 1984D error penny, follow the same authentication process we discussed earlier. Photograph it thoroughly. Post images to expert forums, and if the consensus is positive, submit it to PCGS or NGC for professional grading and authentication. The certification fee will seem trivial compared to the potential value, and having that professional validation is absolutely critical for achieving maximum sale price, whether you choose to auction the coin, sell it through a dealer, or hold on to it as an investment that may continue appreciating over time. The market for ultra-rare error coins has shown remarkable strength over the past 2 decades, with record prices being set and broken regularly as new collectors enter the hobby with substantial financial resources and a desire to own the very best examples of the rarest coins. The 1984D Lincoln penny worth $21 million represents the absolute pinnacle of this market, a coin so rare and so desirable that it transcends normal collecting and becomes a trophy, a prize, a legendary treasure that very few people will ever have the privilege of owning. And yet, despite that astronomical value, despite the near impossibility of finding one, there's still that possibility, that tantalizing chance that somewhere out there in someone's drawer or jar or old collection, another specimen is waiting to be discovered, waiting for someone observant and knowledgeable enough to recognize it for what it truly is, not just a penny, but a fortune, not just metal, but a life-changing treasure that proves dreams really can come true in the most unexpected ways. So the next time you're going through your change, the next time you're sorting old coins, or visiting a flea market, or inheriting a relative's collection, remember these 3 pennies. The 2005 worth $10 million, the 1999D worth $16 million, and especially the 1984D worth $21 million. And take a moment to examine each coin carefully, because fortune really does favor the observant. And your discovery could be the next headline-making find that shocks the coin collecting world and changes your life forever.